Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, this Bitcoin indicator is about to flash a new warning signal while the price is still just hanging on to this critical area of support. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment alongside Ethereum, which is now sitting on the edge of potentially a major break to the downside, while Solana is now running into critical short-term support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in this video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before getting into the Bitcoin charts today, giving you a quick update on the Bitcoin ETF news today. And over the last 1 week from Monday to Friday, honestly, we didn't really see anything too crazy in the Bitcoin ETFs. Obviously, I covered in the beginning of the week that decent inflow that we actually saw on Monday, but other than that, that was about it for the notable news in the Bitcoin ETFs, because on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we saw almost no inflows or outflows, basically very insignificant numbers. And on the Friday, we saw a somewhat decent net outflow of around 84 million US dollars, but once again, that was not as much as the inflow that we saw on Monday. And so overall, once again, this week, we didn't really see anything too crazy in the Bitcoin ETFs, which is why I did not cover it every single day this week, because, for example, on that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we saw barely anything happen in the Bitcoin ETFs. And so with that being said, getting into the Bitcoin charts today, looking at the 3-day time frame, and over the last 1 day, not a lot has changed on this chart right here, because this is still looking at the larger time frames, and as of right now, the larger time frames are still technically showing a larger bullish trend, forming significant higher lows and higher highs in the price of Bitcoin, which is a bullish trend by definition. But as I always say, it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So even though we might be remaining within a bullish trend on the larger time frames, of course, in the shorter term on smaller time frames, we can see short-term pullbacks or short-term bearish trends here and there during a larger bullish trend. And so, as always, it is possible to be short-term bearish and longer-term bullish. So an example of that would be, for example, if you're thinking the price might drop over the next week or so, but you're thinking the price of Bitcoin will be much higher in 6 months from now, that would be an example of short-term bearish, long-term bullish. And as of right now, we still technically have a hidden bullish divergence here on the 3-day Bitcoin chart, with lower lows in the RSI and higher lows in the price, which once again is a hidden bullish divergence. But if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the DXY is still having a slight bounce back to the upside, but at the time of recording this video, the DXY is not currently open for trading. And so we don't really have any new major updates in the DXY over the last 1 day. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart right here, then check out my last video here on the channel. And so if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is basically consolidating above this previous line of resistance, which has just recently flipped into new support with a recent retest of that level. And as I explained in my last video in more detail, the last time we saw a retest like this in the RSI breaking out above a massive descending line of resistance on the daily Bitcoin chart was all the way back here in around mid to late September. And other than that, of course, we did see another breakout right here above a massive descending line of resistance in the daily Bitcoin RSI in early February. But that time around, we did not end up seeing that similar sort of retest that we saw back in September and that we've just seen recently. But either way, both of those previous examples occurred right before a major leg to the upside in the larger bullish trend, basically the next short-term bullish trend beginning to play out. And obviously during these larger bullish moves, we can see short-term pullbacks here and there. And so for as long as the RSI starts flipping more bullish again, and especially if we start seeing some higher lows and higher highs begin to form in the daily Bitcoin RSI, then obviously that would be a bullish signal for Bitcoin and crypto, similar to what we saw back here. But with that being said, if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin MACD, what we've already been seeing over the last 1 week or so is not much momentum really in the MACD. As of right now, the momentum is looking extremely flat, as I've already been saying over the last half a week to nearly 1 week now. But this is actually getting extremely close to a potential bearish cross, which would basically mean an increase in bearish momentum rather than just no momentum. And if we're taking a look at the last few bearish crosses that we've seen in the daily Bitcoin MACD, we saw one back here in around early to mid-January, and what came next was a continued short-term pullback in the price. And then we saw another small bearish cross around late February. And what happened there was a very slight pullback in the price of Bitcoin just over the next couple of days before another move back to the upside eventually. And then we saw a much larger bearish cross with a lot more bearish momentum around mid-March. And of course, that basically occurred right around the all-time high just before this major pullback. And so once again, as of right now, the MACD is moving closer towards a bearish cross. Any day now, we could potentially see a new bearish cross in the MACD. But with that being said, the momentum is still relatively flat, which means even if we see this bearish cross, we might not necessarily see a lot of bearish momentum like what we saw back here. And so just keep that in mind. As of right now, we do not really have a lot of momentum to either direction, which is why we're seeing relatively mild moves in the market and basically choppy sideways price action rather than a significant move to either direction. And while the price of Bitcoin is basically chopping around here in the short term, we're still potentially forming this massive falling wedge pattern with resistance currently sitting at around 62.8k and support for this pattern sitting at around 57.7k. And so in order to actually confirm a strong breakout for this pattern and confirm the technical price targets, ideally we need to first of all see a breakout above this resistance and ideally above a previous high to set a new higher high in place. Once again, that resistance I just mentioned and this previous high, if we're looking at the candle closes, is sitting at around 64.2k. And so until we start to see a confirmed breakout above this line of resistance right here and a breakout ideally above that previous high to confirm a new higher high in the price of Bitcoin after potentially forming a higher low here, until we see something like that happen, we cannot really be overly confident that we're actually flipping more bullish again in the short term. So technically we could still remain within this short-term pullback until we actually confirm some strong bullish confirmation, like a breakout above this previous high. And we could also possibly be forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame, with this being the left shoulder, this being the head, and right now we're potentially forming a right shoulder. And so this potential inverse head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame would have kind of a sloped neckline, which would be sitting close to this line of resistance or more closer towards around 64,000. And so once again, we really need to break out above that 64k level, give or take, in order to start flipping much more bullish again in the short term. But that is once again different to the larger time frames, which as of right now, the larger trend is still bullish, as I've been saying since the beginning of 2023. But if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is still running into this critical area of support that we've previously found a lot of support at, and that is sitting in between around 60.5k to 61k. But if we start seeing a confirmed break to the downside below that support, so for example, daily candle closes confirming below around 60,500, well, in that case, we could potentially see a move down towards this next area of support sitting in between 58,000 to 58.5k. And below that, we have this level of support at around 56,500. But at least for now, this area is still holding up as some strong support, at least for now in the short term, for the price of Bitcoin. And due to the fact that the price of Bitcoin is still finding support in this area, when it comes to my trading strategy right now, first of all, if you've been watching my videos over the last 1 week or so, you would already know that I started to scale into a long position around these lows right here. And then I did take a small amount of profits off the table for that long position around about here. And as of right now, I have actually added more to that long position. And so with this latest pullback that we've just seen close to these local lows right here, at least as of right now, I have added a little bit more to this trade. So as of right now, as you can see on the left side, this is currently a $300,000 long position. But once again, even in the worst case scenario, if this just crashes right now or continues pulling back, once again, as of right now, I still have my stop loss above my entry. And as I just said, I have already taken a small amount of profits anyway from this trade. And so once again, even in the worst case scenario, I still profit from this trade right here. And of course, the best case scenario would be if we bounce sometime soon and recover back to the upside, then obviously this trade would make even more profits. But the idea of this trade right here, and really my overall trading strategy when it comes to Bitcoin, is to take more of a swing trade rather than just trade a quick short-term move. And so basically the point of that trade was to try and scoop up the lows right here in order to potentially catch the next major swing to the upside in the larger bullish trend. But obviously there is a chance that that may not work out this time around. We could get stopped out on that trade and just take a small amount of profits from this trade right here if we get stopped out. And so once again, in that case, and let's just say if we continue a pullback, then perhaps at the next low in that scenario, I would look to enter a new long position wherever the next low might be formed. Because ultimately, when it comes to my trading strategy, I like to focus on the larger moves in the price of Bitcoin rather than just the short-term moves up and down. But once again, that is just my trading strategy when it comes to Bitcoin. And as always, that is not personal financial advice because I don't know your personal financial situation. But if you want to take trades just like this in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position just by making a Bybit account using that link and making a deposit and claiming the airdrop. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I will also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see just recently over the last 1 to 2 days, once again, we took out that level of liquidity, which was sitting at around 60,500. And as of right now, we don't really have major areas of liquidity in the immediate short term. We do have a little bit of liquidity at around 60.1K, but as of right now, we have more liquidity starting to build to the upside. So first of all, we have some liquidity at around 63,500, some more liquidity in between 64,500 to 65,000, some more liquidity at around 66,000, and also on larger time frames, we have billions of dollars of liquidity at around 67,500. And so eventually, when the price of Bitcoin crosses above those higher levels of liquidity, that could potentially liquidate billions of dollars of short positions, causing a major short squeeze to the upside. So just keep that in mind. That is a possible scenario once we actually cross above those higher levels of liquidity. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and right now the price of ETH is running into a critical level of support, which is the second most important Fibonacci level, the 38.2% Fibonacci level, which is sitting at around 2.9K. And basically, if we start breaking below that Fibonacci level right there, the next important retracement level is the 50% retracement level, sitting at around 2,500. And below that level, we have the most important Fibonacci area on the chart, which is the golden pocket, sitting in between $2,000 and 2.1K. And so once again, those are the next important levels to pay attention to the downside if we first confirm a break below this support sitting closer towards 2.9K. But obviously, as of right now, that has not yet happened. So if we're taking a look at this daily time frame for the price of ETH, as of right now, the price of ETH is still potentially forming a massive falling wedge pattern because the price is not yet confirmed to break below this support or above this resistance. As of right now, this support line is sitting at around 28.50 and this line of resistance is sitting at around 32.70. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, right now the price of ETH is running into this critical area of support, which was previously strong support for the price, and that's sitting in between around 28.50 to 29.50. So once again, we have a lot of support all coming together around 2.9K, give or take. And so that is why it is important for the price to hold above this area right here in the short term, because once again, if we start confirming a break with candle closes on larger time frames below 28.50, then in that case, we could potentially return to 2,500. But as of right now, we have not yet confirmed to break below this support, which means it's still possible the price could bounce around this area as we've seen previously. And in that case, if we actually do see another bounce around this area of support, we could simply just remain in this choppy sideways price range that we've seen over the last few weeks or so. And the resistance area for this sideways price range is sitting in between 3.2K to 32.50, and we have more resistance at around 3.3K and 33.50. And so like I said in my last video, while the price is in between this support and this resistance, we're still potentially looking relatively neutral with not much momentum to either direction. But obviously if we start breaking below this level of support, then the bearish momentum could start picking up. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 12-hour time frame, right now the price of Solana is running into this ascending line of support, which is sitting at around 143 to 144, and we also have some more support closer towards $140. But if we actually see a break to the downside in the short term below 140, well, in that case, we have major support in this price range in between 120 to 128. And when it comes to resistance, we still have strong resistance in between 150 to 155, with more resistance at around 160 and more resistance in between 167 to 172. And similar to what I said for Bitcoin and Ethereum, as of right now, at least in the shorter term, the price is kind of lacking momentum to either direction. We don't really have a strong trend or momentum to either direction, which is why we're kind of seeing choppy sideways price action rather than a significant move up or down. But you can still trade these moves in the short term for the price of any crypto if you use those links down below this video. Once again, you can claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade these moves in the market, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.